Peace to everyone. Welcome to my channel on Holistic Health and Abundant Living. Thank you for tuning in today. Today I'm going to be doing a video that is going to be talking about the spiritual, the energy shift that happened to us coming from Africa, specifically Kenya, back to the U.S. I'm making this video because this is something that I was really concerned about. We were really concerned about it because coming from a place that has a certain energy, going back to a place that we already know carries a certain energy, we were like, how is this going to be going back? How are we going to feel? Like, how are we going to be emotionally, mentally? Because like I told you on another video, a big reason that we left here was because we just needed a break just from everything. And a lot of that everything, like I said before, involves being black in America and everything that entails. So I'm going to be doing a video talking about the different shifts that we felt and also about the differences that we noticed because we lived in Kenya for 3 months. That's a whole quarter of a year. So we got a chance to kind of get adapted to the culture in a way. Not so much because obviously 3 months is not a whole bunch of time, but it's the longest that we ever lived somewhere else, and we actually was living there and doing things like locals. And so either way, I want to talk to you about some of the things that I've noticed that are like really noticeable since coming back. So first off, one thing that we did was we really prepared our mind for the shift that was going to happen. And we prepared it by looking at the positives of things that like we could look forward to with getting back home. It wasn't like a lot of things, but there were just small things like getting back to our house where our things are, getting back to a place where we don't have to just live out of our suitcases because we don't have a set home in Kenya. We were just living like in temporary housing, like Airbnbs and things like that. So just any small thing that we could look forward to, we put that in our minds just so it wouldn't be like a completely devastating experience, because right now the only place that we have citizenship is in the US. So we didn't want it to be like some big devastating experience where we were here and then we're just like going to a depression. So either way, that was the first thing, and that's my tip to anybody who is going to be making this trip, whether it's a short or long trip and then coming back. If you already know it's a lot of things that you don't like about being in the US, just look at some of the positives. I feel like just to at least get you acclimated back, just so that it won't be such a sad experience, because some people have gone into depression over over things like this. And some of my friends that I've talked to, like I have a friend who's Nigerian, like she's born and raised in America, but she's Nigerian. Her family's Nigerian, so she visits she visits Nigeria like a couple times a year, and she says when she comes back, it's like she has to do all kinds of things to get herself back right, because she kind of goes into a mild depression. I've seen people do that. I hope that it doesn't happen to us because we've only been here for 2 weeks, but so far we've been okay. So that's what I wanted to say. So far, it hasn't been as bad as we thought, and I'm going to tell you why. So stick around to the end of the video. So we knew that we eventually had to come back because we are not permanent citizens of Kenya. So we knew we eventually had to come back. So it's like, hey, why not try and look at the positives and not look at all the negatives? So let me tell you about some of the things that we really noticed and some of the shifts that we been through since we've been back here to the US. So naturally, our mood is not as high. Like our mood is not as our moods are good, but naturally being in more sunlight, if you've seen another one of my videos and just a lot of my videos, I talk about health and how important sunlight is for health. It's important for your physical body, your mental, emotional, everything. And so having less sunlight can decrease your mood. It actually sometimes can have you going into a depression during the winter months, which is a really common thing for people's mental state and for people's mood to be at a decreased level during the winter time because we don't have as much sunlight. So naturally coming back to a place, it's the winter time, like winter. Like a lot of y'all was looking at the video I talked about the winter time in Kenya that we didn't get a chance to experience, and y'all were like, y'all don't really have a winter. Well, we have a winter. So we have snow, we have freezing temperatures, we have you can't go outside with a short sleeve shirt on or even a long sleeve shirt on. You're going to need layers. You're going to need coat, hat, gloves, all of that. So naturally coming back to that, it was a little bit it wasn't depressing because like we're not experiencing depression, but obviously just not as fun. It's not, it's kind of like, oh man, like I can't go outside. We love walking in the park when it's nice out. We have parks that we go to and things, outdoor activities that we can't do. So naturally, because it's less sunlight, our mood is not as high. So that's one of the biggest things. Also, obviously there's significantly less black African people here in the US and especially where we live. So that's already, that's points deducted automatically. There's a lot of things and repercussions that come from having an environment that have less, of your own people. So being there in Kenya, in a country in Africa, I mean, it just was like us all around, everywhere. And that was really uplifting for everything in our life because we just understand one another. We take care of one another. It's just, things are just better. So obviously that's one of the things that we know we was coming back to, and that's an automatic point deduction for, being back here. So also, what I also noticed, and we kind of noticed this before we left the US to go to Kenya too, but the work life balance seems naturally off here. Like, and the thing is, it's not as much activities to do, especially in this particular city that we're in. But even we've been to several states in the US, and it's just not as many activities that we've experienced in a small area where we were in Kenya. So we feel like it's just people work, and work here and don't seem to just do other activities other than working. Now, a lot of people, it's going to be people here watching me from Kenya. So people, my family in Kenya, like if you could leave comments down below, let me know. In Kenya, is there a good work-life balance? Meaning, like, you work. We see a lot of people who are native to Kenya working really hard. Like, you work in your job. We see people working everywhere. But we also see people doing activities. So is that part of the culture that it's like very important to actually do activities other than working? You know what I'm saying? Like, let me know in the comments, because we lived there for 3 months, but still, just it was only 3 months. So let me know, because here in the US, it just always have been just people working, like nonstop working and doing nothing else, And like I said, there's not so many activities here, but still just something that you enjoy other than just like watching TV or just, doing average things like sitting on a sofa. To us, it seemed like it was better work-life balance in Kenya. So like I said, let me know in the comments, even if you're not from Kenya, if you visited there or, if you're living there. Is that something that you notice too, like the difference between the US and Kenya? Like, is there like an imbalance in work and play, like in the US, and is it more balanced in Kenya? Because here it just seemed like it's just everything is about work. Now for us, we don't work jobs, like we run businesses, but everybody around us does. So we understand what it's like, to be working a job. We used to work jobs and only have a certain amount of time off. So it's not like I'm blaming people, but I just feel like here, all people doing is working. And that's crazy because since we've been back, we've been back for 2 whole weeks. We saw one family member so far. And this is what I'm telling you, like with the work-life balance. We saw one family member, and that was by default because this family member works on cars. And our car is sitting in the cold. We had issues like with the battery, so they had to come and help us, and they solved for that reason. If it wasn't for that, I don't even know if they would have saw us. So all of our family, when we told them that we were going to Africa for one, they just were like, oh my gosh, like they were so nervous. And then when we told them we were going to be going for 3 months, they was like, oh my gosh, we're not going to see y'all. We're not going to. And I'm like, you already know within this 3 months that we're going to be gone, you're going to see us about 3 times. Sure enough, we get back. Everybody that missed us so much, we haven't seen one person. We saw one person in 2 whole weeks. Why? Because everybody is working. Everybody is tired from working. It seems like it's not a priority for family, like to get together with family, to see family. And that's one of the things that made it so easy for us to go, and made it easier for me to be like, man, we may end up eventually moving across the world, just because unfortunately, we just don't see our family. Like, we don't get a chance to have that quality time with our family. And I know it's different for us because we run businesses, but still, people have vacation time that we don't know exactly what they do with it. Like, we have family that never goes anywhere. Some family who claims that they want to do stuff. And like I said, y'all, I live in a small town. If you watch me from Kenya, I mean, y'all got a bunch of stuff to do just in a small area. Here where we live, it's not like that. So you have to kind of travel to go and do things. And we have family that just never do anything. Like, we met a friend in Kenya, and we invited him to come to lunch with us. And literally during lunch, he was like, hey, do y'all like bowling? And we were like, yeah, we like bowling. He was like, well, do y'all want to go to this mall over there? Y'all want to go bowling? And it was like, yeah, let's go bowling. So we went to lunch and we went to bowling. Like, this was a new friend that we met. Here, we haven't, I can't even name a time. I mean, we don't have a whole bunch of friends here, but I just can't name a time where you just can spend with your friends. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just feel like there's a very big imbalance in work here. It just seems like people work. That's all there is to do. And people don't really prioritize getting together with family and friends anymore. I know that probably partly social media's fault, like just people feeling like they're seeing or they're spending time with each other's families because they comment on their post or they like their picture. That's not the same. So here it just seems like a really big imbalance. So y'all let me know, like, do you feel like, if you from the US, do you feel like there's a big imbalance in, like, you know, work and play, like, in general? And I know people working a lot. The average person I know work at least two jobs. And so it can be hard to, like, do other things, but also it comes a time where it seems like sometimes people are not even looking to do anything else. So people have vacation time. Me and my husband was just talking about how people actually have vacation time that they get paid for because they don't even take the vacation time that they do have. So it ends up rolling over to the next year, or they end up getting paid for the time because they're not even using that vacation time. So that was one big thing. I will say the best thing about coming back, being able to experience being in Kenya, being on the continent of Africa, is feeling empowered. So before we went to Africa, before we went to Kenya specifically, it was just a theory. Like, we were living here. This is all we ever knew. So we were just like, man, it has to be a place where we're treated better. It has to be a place where there's more people like us, where there's nicer people, where you don't have to worry about certain things. Everything was just a theory before we actually went. Now actually seeing a place where people genuinely care about you, seeing a place where you feel safe, seeing a place where people care about your children, seeing a place where people don't look down on you because you're black, because obviously they're black too, you know, they're African too. It's not a theory anymore. So being back here, it feels empowering having that experience, because things that happen here, I'll be like, we don't got to deal with this. Like, I don't got to deal with this. Like, I know that there's a place that I can go. We just have to figure out where exactly that is and figure out, you know, the residency situation, getting citizenship, all those things. But we know that there's a place that we can go to experience the things that we actually want to experience. So it just comes into play of us just actually putting together a plan to actually do that. But that was one of the best things about coming back. So it didn't have anything to do with actually coming back. It has something to do with, like, the experience that I got here. So y'all saw that video that I put. Being in Kenya for 3 months changed everything. It did. It just changed my mind. It changed my perspective. It changed everything, the way I see the world. Now I can see, because I've seen videos people have done on certain African countries, and they had a bad experience, and they just, like, dogging a country out, like, you know. And then I've seen people in the comments, like, I guess American, like, Black American people saying, yeah, see, we be telling y'all think that those are brothers and sisters over there, and they not really are. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, this person had one bad experience. I've had bad experiences here in the US with people that look like me. Does that mean that we're not brothers and sisters? So it's just all about seeing it for yourself, because you have some people that have a great experience like we have, and then you have some people that they have one experience and they let that be their whole experience, or they let just one place, because we've been to another African country that our particular experience there, we didn't really care for. We're going to give it another shot, but we didn't really care for it. But that doesn't mean that that's the whole country, and that doesn't mean that that's all of Africa. You know what I'm saying? So basically, that was one of the best things, y'all. I'm telling you, just feeling so empowered. I feel like I got somebody on my side in the world. Like, there's a place that actually cares about us. So, like, if y'all like us and you were here in the U.S., feeling like there has to be something else in the world, getting a chance to experience that, let me tell you, it's really there. It's really there. I don't know when, if you're watching here from another country outside of Kenya or outside of the continent of Africa, if you want to go, you will get a chance to go. If you want to visit, you will visit. And let me tell you, let me be the person to tell you, it is what they say it is. Like, it is. It is the ultimate. It's the motherland. It is. It is something that will change your life. So that's all, y'all. Please, if you like this video, if you like the kind of content I talk about, holistic health and abundant living, which really entails everything in our life for us to be living the best lives that we can, please, y'all, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to join the family. I was glad to spend this time with y'all. Thank you for tuning in and watching the video. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all later.